opinion essay. First, we start with a time plan. 20 minutes to read 3 sources. Usually there's 3. They're usually articles. 20 minutes to make a circle map, which is done on your planning page. 1 hour 20 minutes to write the essay. Testing time, 2 hours, 120 minutes. Do the math, add it all up, it amounts to the 2 hours. Why do we have to make these plans? Why do I implement the writing prompts? Why do I put all this in the essay? To keep kids on track. I want the kids to stay on track because, let's face it, they get nervous. Sometimes they draw a blank. If they draw a blank, things can go pretty sour. Be pretty rough. So, by giving them the writing prompts, keeps them on track. By giving them a time plan, keeps them on track. Let's move on. After they read 20 minutes, we get to our planning section. Done on the planning page. It's a circle map. Should seatbelts be required on all school buses? There's your writing prompt. To address that prompt, make our circle map. In the nucleus, we answer it. It's either going to be an indeed or it's going to be a no. Indeed meaning yes. In this case, I think it should be, so I say indeed. I say for several reasons. Indeed, comma, seatbelts should be required on all school buses for several reasons. Okay? There's the answer. We're going to provide 3. And they are these 3 bullets. Number 1, they help to prevent bullying. Number 2, they help to physically protect students. And number 3, they help monitor students more easily. Okay. 20 minutes to complete. So far, we've spent 40 minutes on the essay. Time to move on to actually writing the essay. So we move on to paragraph number 1. Start out with a little onomatopoeia. Ch-click. Buckle up. Clarifying the ch-click. The seatbelt, obviously. I put that in there to give a little more life to the essay. The hook comes next, which is did you ever wonder? It's the did you ever wonder statement. As the kids know, the students know this. Did you ever wonder if seatbelts should be required on all school buses? Question mark. Where's your hook? Indeed, comma, seatbelts should be required on all school buses for several reasons. Okay. Once again, going back to our circle map. There it is. It's right off the circle map. We're transferring the information right out of the nucleus. And now we're going to continue that transfer with the 3 reasons. They help to prevent bullying, comma. They help to prevent physical injury, comma. And conjunction, they help teachers, bus drivers, monitor their students more easily. Okay? Did we answer the prompt? Yes. Provided a hook and a little onomatopoeia in there. We gave our reasons. Time now to move on to our second paragraph, which is going to be focused solely on a first reason. Okay, it's designated for the first reason. Indent, begin with one reason why. One reason why seatbelts should be required on all school buses is because they help to prevent bullying. Okay, it's our first reason. For example, comma, students know. For example means we're going to cite the text. We're going to supply a supporting detail. Text dependent. It's from the text, copied out. That's what, for example, prompts them to do. According to the source article number 1 titled, comma, quotations buckle up, the author states, comma, open quotes, now here's the text. Seatbelts prevent bullies from walking around, period, close quotes. Right out of the text. Further comes next. Now the students know further signifies it's time to explain more fully in my own words. Okay? Further, comma, the student says in their own words, this means no walking over to hurt someone. Period. Now we have a prompt, also, comma, this shows how, which follows. The also, comma, this shows how signifies elaboration. You need to tie it all together. Also, comma, this shows how keeping a bully in one place can both minimize their malicious activity, comma, and reduce the number of safety referrals as a result. Period. Ties it all together. Okay? Ties it all together and shows what is as a result. So we have, for example, was a prompt. Okay. Then we have further is a prompt. And lastly, also this shows how. Text dependent, citation, citing the text. Further, explain more fully in your own words. Also this shows how, elaboration. That completes the second paragraph. Okay? Now we need to get on to the third. So, the third paragraph will indent and will transition in addition to. Now, we're going to mention our first reason and transition to our second. We have to use a progressive, so watch. In addition to helping, okay, not in addition to it helps, but rather in addition to helping, progressive, to prevent bullying, comma, another reason why seatbelts, right, should be required on all school buses is because, and then we're going to tell our second reason. So our second reason is going to be pretty much that they help prevent physical injury. Should be required on all school buses is because they help to prevent physical injury. Simple as that. Right off of our circle map, right out of our first paragraph as well. Of our first paragraph where we listed the three reasons. So there it is. Same protocol, same format, same step process. For example, comes next. Comma, right? According to source article number, let's say number 2, titled, the title of the source article, right? The author states, comma, quotes, and the student puts in what is cited from the text. That supports preventing physical injury. Once again, we follow the same protocol. Further, we're going to explain, students going to explain in their own words, and then also this shows how. Elaborate. Tie it all together. What does this show us? Now you might say it's a bit redundant. Okay, it's always for example, further, also this shows how, etc. The reason why it has to be this way in the beginning, in my opinion, is because they're young children. They're first adopting the structure of writing essays. Once they are conditioned enough and they got it down, okay, quite frankly, they have it down, then you can start substituting in different words. For instance instead of for example. That's fine. But let's get them on track first, okay? And that's where I've had success. There's your third paragraph. Take a look. Now we move on to our fourth paragraph, which is the longest. Now you might say, why is it the longest? Well, it's the longest because you have to mention the first two reasons and then transition over to the third. So there's a little more writing involved with the transition. So let's do it. Indent along with, right? Along with, we're going to mention reason number one, right? Preventing bullying, progressive. And mention number two, right? Helping to prevent physical harm, right? We're going to now transition over to a final, call it a final reason why seatbelts are required on all school buses is because they help bus drivers and teachers monitor the students more easily. Okay, more easily. Period. Once again, we have our for example, right? We follow our further in our own words. And then, of course, we have the also this shows how, comma, this shows how. The elaboration piece. Now, you might need a couple of sentences for the elaboration. It might take 2 or 3 sentences. That's totally fine. Okay? You might need that to really clarify things, tie it all together. The students understand that. But here's the prompt, okay? This is what keeps them on track. For example, further, also this shows how. Last paragraph, coming up. The conclusion paragraph, right? The conclusion paragraph, and a bit traditional, I'm going to start out with in conclusion. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. In conclusion, comma. Right? We're going to reiterate our first paragraph. Okay? So if we go back to our first paragraph, we said we had our hook, but we're not going to include that. We're just going to go back to the part where we answer it. Indeed, seatbelts, right, should be required on all school buses. We're going to say that. We're going to answer the prompt again. Indeed, right, seatbelts should be required on all school buses for several reasons. Period. And we list our 3 reasons. So it's just like our first paragraph, it's right out of it. But then we're going to add and make this conclusion paragraph a little special. We're going to add a recommendation. I recommend Students going to recommend something to show that they cognitively have a deep understanding of all this enough to be proactive. I recommend you talk to your principal, comma, or write a letter to the school board. Explaining, you can say highlighting, explaining these particular reasons, these particular benefits of requiring seatbelts on all school buses. Okay? They put in their recommendation. It could take a few sentences to do so, right? This may take a few sentences. The recommendation is being proactive, and it's showing cognitive understanding. Knows where to direct this knowledge. Student knows where to direct and what to do with this knowledge to be proactive in the future. That concludes our opinion essay.